feel like
What's a crack, Dalda?
I feel like I'm announcing the UFC here. My 5-year-old, 6-year-old, sorry, six now. If he hears I'm calling him five, I'm in trouble. He's discovered Conor McGregor, and he's obsessed. And then he's learning John Jones and all the other fighters. Reminds me of the time we went to Las Vegas for that Conor McGregor fight. Good,
That's
good old
right. Chad Mendes, what a fight. Unbelievable. And it actually lasts longer than 16 seconds, which was good.
Ah, God, Vegas, hey?
Uh,
That's uh that's a lifetime ago.
no responsibilities, not married, no kids. What a
Still
life.
still employed,
Yeah, that's right. Still working.
not having to worry about anything else, just knocking in a few deals, getting on a plane, heading off, doing your
I know.
thing.
I know we joke about it now, right? That's the good part of it. The bad part of it, I don't think we could go back to. I'm not sure. I think we're officially unemployable now at this
Hey,
stage. We've been
I
too far
I
removed.
I do wonder if we were ever employable. So when like when I joined Robert Walters, do you know it's like nearly 15 years ago now?
Scare the life out of you, that, wouldn't it? Doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't. And my hairline definitely looks like it is
Give us
now.
a look, lad. Come on, give
Uh,
us a look.
like,
Yeah.
I said, there's see on the next upturn of the market, straight to Turkey. Straight to Turkey. Oh,
Q2 2025, you're gonna be like a new man.
listen, as soon as that bank account's right, boom, I'm gone.
You're
I'm
mad.
over, I'm over there. Kebabs and hair follicles. I can't wait.
The only thing I will say is they can't go wrong with the hair. I've heard a few disaster teeth stories, but they can't. How wrong can they go with the hair? Like you can't lose any more. Uh,
Um, but there's some like we came into recruitment late. I was 27, and we're like you came in a year older even. You were 28, so you kind of realize shit. I better get something now, or the next 10, 15 years are gonna be they're gonna be hard. The world didn't need another two barmen at that stage, and when I think of that, we probably were never great at doing what we were told.
No, but I think that comes with age as well. I mean, 29, when you've gone through a couple of industries and done a couple of things, I wasn't used to being told what to do. Anything I did before that, I was kind of naturally okay at. Recruitment, and then I had 20, we both had 21, 22, 23-year-olds running around, nipping at our heels going, "You're stupid, you're an old man." It wasn't a nice environment. It was tough
I
for
remember
the
going
next
for a
10
drink.
months.
I remember going for a drink with one of the boys who was a good bit younger than us, right? Or no, a few years younger anyway, as most people in the room were. And he said, "So what are you going to end up doing?" And I was like, "No, this. I'm here. Like, look,
Uh,
the, the, I'm
he,
not gonna reinvent myself again. Like
that's how much that's how
somebody's
much
giving me a
confidence
shot at
he
this."
that's how much confidence he had in you after seeing you for 2 weeks.
But he was looking at it like this is a stepping stone.
Oh,
I'm
big
going
time.
on. I'm going on to another career, and I was like, no way. Like the, like what I've done before. This is way worse. This is grand. I can make this. I can make this work. Like this is fine. I remember those early days and being appreciative of it because of that. So
Oh,
it's
that's it. Oh, that and listen, at the beginning when you understand what it can give you, I mean, you were quite visionary even at that early stages of how recruitment was going to evolve. I mean, I was just trying to survive. You were in there, what, a year and a half before I arrived. You were comfortable, billing big money on the IT desk. I was only picking up, and you were already telling me, listen, this could possibly happen. This is the other things that we could get out of recruitment. But I don't think I'll ever get or I'll ever be grateful enough for the training we got back then.
Yeah, and there's one thing about being visionary and finding shortcuts and maybe seeing, like I remember sitting at my desk in my suit, and we're in Western Australia and it was boiling. And nobody, why we were wearing suits, I don't know. I still don't know. Like why people wear suits in that part of the world blows my mind, right? And even now, it's quite a suited and booted like town. They're all a wee bit trendier now, in fairness. But when I think about that and that time, and I look at it and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I don't have to go and meet all the clients all the time, and I could sit at my desk. And why are we just doing a regional area instead of doing deals here and there and all the rest? And all of that there's fine, but that fundamental of how to run your day, how to do everything in the right exact manner. Whenever I was coaching the mastermind, it's the biggest gap. Like you had all I coached 100 people. 90% of them hadn't been professionally trained. And it was the reason that they had no consistency in their business. They couldn't hire right. They couldn't manage right. They couldn't teach right. And you can give them all the tips and tricks and marketing for this and automation for this and all of that. And it works in an up market. And it might get you the odd deal in here. But if you don't have the fundamentals,
Yeah.
like you're stuck. Like it's like it's like being an unbelievable footballer who is a street footballer and they can do all the tricks in the world, but you must have seen it 1,000 times when you're playing. They come into an organized, controlled environment and they can't do what they were doing in the park.
No, happens all the time. But I have to say that that early stage with Robert Walters, what I liked about it as well, we were able to learn on the job, learn behavior. So there's 55 people in the sales floor, real high performers across different desks. Learned behavior was unbelievable. You don't have that at startup, and that's why the mastermind when I did it was so valuable, not only for my employees but for me as well as refreshers. You just don't get that. I mean, you can't. You can only pick up so much. By talking to people or in the bar afterwards and asking a few questions, but seeing somebody actually do it and hit figures and hit numbers, it's invaluable.
Yeah, it is. So, would you go back to Australia and live in Perth?
I would love to go back to when we lived there and what it was like, but going back now, no, not in the situation we're in. Married, two
No.
kids, nah. I can't. I can see it being a hell of a lot different, but I don't know. I would love it. I just loved Australia, especially Perth.
Yeah. So I suppose what we're going to do today is you're going to lead this, Gareth, and maybe dig into a little bit of that. I thought it might be interesting. By the way, we don't script anything around here. Um,
Well,
and Gareth knows all my skeletons, so he can bring them out. I'm an open book, and I'm happy to chat about anything along those ways, and our paths have interchanged along that professionally, personally.
so talk to me about, well, obviously we both left Perth, or sorry, you left Perth first, you went to Calgary. Tell us what you learned in Calgary, because that was a way different desk, a way different environment. How did that go?
Went awful. It went awful. I first thing I learned was environment's everything, right? So I go from a high performing environment to one where it's just full of independent recruiters
Right.
and old people, and it just was different. So then I'm like, and then I'm starting to go, well, that's okay. I'm still good. Like I don't need the machine. And then the market went. So I'm like, oh God, I don't have the machine. I don't have the market. And then what did I learn in that machine? Is it applicable to this next place? And then you're like, you have nobody to structure you. So I found it very hard. And I found it a very, very steep learning curve. Um, Invaluable. Like when I look at it now,
Yeah.
and
It probably
but
made you appreciate what the training you got in Perth, because I would imagine you were to turn up in Calgary going, it's going to be the same. We're going to have a
I thought it was going to be the same.
good
But you know
mentor.
what? The thing is, I looked at Robert Half's global figures, and Calgary was like the next best thing to Perth. So I was like, I was hedging my bets on it, and I
Yeah.
go there, and the oil price hits an all-time low, and the city stops. I'm like, oh no, what have I done? And my ego was out of control because it did well in Perth, and I thought this is my time now. And nah,
Nothing like a bad market to massage your ego down a little bit.
yeah, well, big time,
Yeah.
like, and it's needed. You like you need these things in life. You need adversity.
I would say you learned more in Calgary than you did in Perth in the long run.
Mm. I I learned more of what I wanted, and I learned more of what I didn't know, and I learned more on what my skill set is and what I thought my skill set is. And when you go from a big machine to just kind of winging it in a room, in another room, you really see all your own personal gaps.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a good experience, but it was tough.
I would say we don't do that enough, like the self-awareness. I would say if you had have went from Perth to Calgary and Calgary was a booming market, there's a good chance you would probably never have sat back and go, right, what am I good at? What am I bad at? Where's my strengths here?
Maybe, like you never know with life, eh?
Yeah,
Like, especially when you put yourself out there. So when you go and live in different places around the world and have to adjust to different cultures and like even culturally, the Aussies are great. Like, they you call them up, they tell you to fuck off. Call
fun.
them up again, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Is it you again?" And then you go, "Ah, well, I didn't take it personally last time." They go, "Ah, well, I'll have a coffee with you." And then before you know it, they're having a beer with you and they're giving you the business. And then Canada, you call them up. They are so nice to you and they will never do business with you. So,
That's hard. I think that's way harder to do business in than Australia. I mean, we were blessed. We learned in Australia. We thought that's the way it was going to be all across the world, but evidently not. Culture changes people, and it's just not.
Perth is a blessed marketplace. It's a wealthy place. Like leaving it and seeing where the rest of the world's at and inflation and all of that. And having visited Perth 10 years later, like, so I went back like last February and it's amazing. Like, it's an amazing place. Like, and it's full of money and everybody looks great and they're making money and everybody's happy. And like, especially in the recruitment sector, I was just like, this, how could you fail?
Yeah. Would
This
you
isn't
would you go
reality.
back?
Do you know what? If I hadn't have discovered Gibraltar, I would.
Yeah.
And I 100% would. I would have found a way. Um, Having lived in the UK and after all of that, yeah. But now that I'm here, Mediterranean climate, English speaking, kids settled, like good tax setup, all the rest, like this suits me on every level. But I didn't know this existed until we got here. But like Perth as a plan B if if the Spaniards came in and said we're taking Gibraltar back, get out.
You've
Then yeah,
you've got a home, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so tell us, we'll come back to actually getting to Gibraltar. So Doherty Group, that started shortly after Calgary. Who envisaged that? Obviously, the wife Charlotte, was she part of that kind of idea or vision?
Well, I think I've said this before, but I, I got real down in Calgary. I put on a bit of weight. I wasn't training properly, and like work wasn't going well. Getting a bit training, started drinking a bit. Like it just things were getting the demons were coming back. That chimp was growing inside me, and I remember she was like what's up like and I don't know, I'm just not happy here like it's freezing like it's freezing all the time and
Yeah.
business is hard. You've had 7 jobs in 7 months. Like I'm hanging on by a thread here. um and it's just cold. Like, so she said, when were you happy? And I said, oh well, when we were in Central America, like doing a wee side business that we were doing there and on doing resumes or something like that at the time. And she's like, well, let's go and do our own thing then, and let's take a gamble on it. And she had gone. I'd been offered a job at an NES group, and anyway, we went out drinking with a guy called Paul Blues, great guy, right? And went to a casino, and he said, "I'm trying to." I said, "I could fill these jobs for you." And he says, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, my wife's a rec direct, and she wasn't. She was just at home with doing interviews." So anyway, I copied some terms of business. I think I probably got it off your wife, right? And got some terms of business. She sent them over to Paul. Got them all. Got it all done, right? Anyway, Charlotte placed somebody, and then Paul said, "Oh, why don't you come in and work for us at NES?" So she goes in and she be an internal recruiter, and she kind of sees all these international resumes coming in and all this, and she's talking about it, and I said, "Well, why don't we do that?" And we can do that, and then I'll slowly set up an IT recruitment company.
Yeah.
And we did that, and we went to Guatemala, blasted our savings, and we never got around to doing the IT recruitment company.
Well, just as well, you didn't consider the market in the last 18 months.
Yeah,
But
might have been
that
retired by now.
hey, that's unbelievable. Obviously that went well. You're sitting in Guatemala. What possessed you to move again?
Um,
Kids, was it?
no, no. Charlotte's dad died when we were in Guatemala. Actually, it was I was in LA with you. You'll remember.
Yeah.
So she went. I need to go back to Europe. Like this, like I said, all right, okay. She packed up, went back to Europe, um, and we were in that. Just what are we going to do? So, as soon as the dust settled with her father stuff and that, we decided to go to Belgium because I used to live there years ago before recruitment. So we went to Belgium, hung out, drank beer, ate chocolate. I played a bit of social football. We didn't make much money, had a few business ideas, and then we from there then we packed the car and went to France car sitting or house sitting, sorry.
Wow. How'd you come across that?
Remember when we were in Oz, we picked beans before we got into recruitment and a thing called woofing. So I suppose from that, I just kind of learned about these other things that people do to live off grid and cheap. So we were doing a wee bit of rec to rec, and we were taking care of people's dogs on farms in France and stuff and feeding animals. And just like we worked our way down from Brussels down to Brittany. My parents had a caravan in Ile de Ré at the time, and we stayed in Ile de Ré with them, and then went on down past La Rochelle, down to Santander, and then drove down Porto, Lisbon, Algarve, and actually we ended up in Tarifa. Uh,
Wow,
and
all those years
You know
ago.
Tarifa. You came over
Yeah.
did my
Oh,
40th there last year, and so did Tarifa for 6 weeks, and then Charlotte got pregnant.
and it all changed.
It all changed. So before I know it, I'm living in my mother-in-law's village in the south of England, trying to like all of a sudden I have to take the business more serious, trying to work out like, oh, I have to buy a house now, and I have to do, oh, like it just went from like, kind of dreamy, floaty post corporate world to oh shit,
Oh,
like
hey, that'll straighten you up. A couple of kids. Wow. Imagine going from Tarifa, chilling out, enjoying the beach, enjoying the pubs, and then going boom, back to the mother-in-law's.
it's tight going, right? So with all these, I've like one kid, another one on the way, and business is going okay at this stage because I'm taking it a bit more serious, the Rec Direct stuff. Charlotte's still not interested though. She doesn't want to do it, right? So she's off her rocker. She's like, I want to be a yoga teacher. I want to do this. And I'm like, and I don't know, like married life, you have to make I have to make lots of sacrifices for whatever she wants to do because she is really capable, but she's full of notions, and then she'll come around to whatever. So okay, yeah, go be a yoga teacher, earn £10 an hour, whatever it is, right? So she's doing that, and then I'm trying to think, okay, I'm still fantasizing about maybe I'll set up a different type of recruitment business. I don't know what I'm going to do, and I think, do you know what? Gonna set up a podcast, and I set up the Recruiter Startup podcast, and it goes really well. And I think I might have been the second one to kind of done it. Another guy did it. Went on Hisham. He did one. I went on his podcast, and then 3 weeks later, I went and launched mine.
Because
And
that was really successful, Dulda. I know obviously when you start a podcast, you just don't know what to expect. I mean, it's like this, you're just chilling out, you don't know what you're going to get out of it. You just want to get the industry talking again.
and
How difficult was it at the beginning, and when did you start seeing fruits of your labor?
you know what? I think I started seeing fruits of it straight away. One,
Mhm.
because I was early, so like back then people were afraid of their reputation. So people were too afraid to tell people what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always pretty open, like, hey, I'm living in Tarifa, or I'm living here. So I had this following on LinkedIn from it because maybe I was a wee bit outspoken and that. And then when I went to interview people, I always try and really not make it too formulaic and like get into the story of the person and ask them challenging questions, call bullshit when I see it, but in a nice way.
Yeah.
And to try and do that. And it went well. And then I thought I'm going to get loads of candidates and make loads of money from this. Right. And it was the complete opposite. It was all people like me that were listening. So it was all recruitment founders from 25 to 65 men, 95% men, some women, God bless them. But mostly that was the demographic. And I was like, this is this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I was always following like some of those Facebook groups as well. There's a guy called David Stephen Patterson, and he built this massive Facebook group. And I thought, God, there's money in this somewhere. And he was
Yeah.
coaching people, and I could see the money in that. And then as this is going well, COVID hits,
Oh no.
and I
And that
lose.
surely that was good for
No, because
no.
everybody, I'm moving people around the world, and everybody,
Oh yeah, yeah. No, but I'm talking about for the podcast for Rec to Rec, absolutely not.
aye,
But surely the podcast analytics went through the roof.
podcast went through the roofs, right? And Andy was doing a wee bit of work on our business as an advisor. He was just launching his own advisory business. I was actually helping him with that at the time, and we were in another WhatsApp group, Simon from Members Only. So we're in there, right? And I went to a few of his events, and I went to one of James Osborne's events, and I was having a look at the different demographics and how they went about things, and I could see gaps in what they were doing and what could be done. Um, and I could see it could be done quite cost affordably. So we just at that point of lockdown, I said to Andy, I think I can do this better. And he goes, let's do it then. So we set up the WhatsApp group and then went from there. Now in those early stages, I learned quite a bit off Andy on uh, just knowing your own value within how to monetize attention.
Okay.
Um,
That's interesting.
so because he would have been on the upper echelons in S3, he would have had the supplier community selling to him the whole time. So he had a real good insight into what that was. So I kind of shadowed him for a little bit in that. And then we then did a deep dive on how a community works, how the existing players work, what does it do, who do they service, how do they make money, like where are their gaps, what are they not doing well, what could we fill in, what would we want to do. And one of the things I love doing is, it's one of the only things I learned from uni, is product development. and
Okay.
and I love doing it. I love analyzing five things, like five players in the market. So let's say that's the TRN, the Pirates, and there wasn't really anybody else really worth breaking down in detail. But it's analyzing what's the best five things that they do,
Yeah.
and what things do people love in their service, and what things do people not love, and what do they want, what do they not want, like how do they score it, how do they score this. So I broke down how the supplier stuff went, and then I built the product that would rival it. And it was just about giving a bit more love, a bit more attention, and making sure that on building Required, we had the community piece for free. So we had the catchment of recruitment founders. Now I had them from the listeners, I had them from the Rec Direct, and I was able to build it to thousands of companies because of that.
So it's interesting, right? So you started the podcast kind of on a whim, took a chance, didn't really know what they expect.
Yeah,
That then generated the community, which was the
yeah,
WhatsApp group during COVID. That went well. That exploded because everyone was at home on social media on WhatsApp. Then you learned to try to monetize that, and now you're going into RecWired. And then from RecWired, you've got RecWired Plus.
Well, even if I take it back a step, in those early days, so we built those communities. Um, uh, I still wasn't sure if I wanted to be a non-executive director or an advisor or whatever else. And I don't typically have the profile of that because I wasn't a senior leader at a PLC. I didn't have a big event or anything like that. But as you know, I do enjoy business strategy. Like it's what I went to uni for, and I'm into it, right? But I wanted to just see what that world was like. So I created the mastermind quite early. Did the first one for free, right? And
Yeah.
then I went and charged the next one. And then I did 10 of them. So I had about 100 companies all in all that I took through uh, a 6 month or 12-week process. Was it 12? I can't even remember now. It's been a while since I've done it, but I would have gone from big to small in terms of structure of the business, where what their vision is, what their niche is, breaking all that down in their tech, their operations, their marketing, working on best practice to that, bringing in billing management, all of that, virtual assistants, automation, etc., 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 hiring, firing, internationalization. And I would have went through all the stuff that I would have wanted to have learned. And I brought experts in at stages when I wasn't sure on a specific thing, or I researched it and then I presented it and I stress tested. And I do it live with like 8 to 10 founders. And they would argue, they would debate, I would challenge them. Some of them you were in the room. Some of them, I challenged them quite hard. Uh, and, eventually we try and get to a point where everybody goes, actually, this works. Go test it, come back, tell me if it works, tell me if it doesn't. And I think you were able to kind of go, I'm robbing this, and this. I'm going to use him as a crash test dummy. Go get some bright lad to help me with it, and then I'll apply it to a better industry.
But even take it back about the mastermind was invaluable. I mean, I was the kind of same as you. Left New York, Hazen, New York, thinking I could do this. Did it for like 3 or 4 months. Absolutely sucked at it. Was a mess. No
Yeah,
structure, no organization, no processes. And
yeah,
then I found the mastermind, and I basically then uh, probably saved myself about 2 years of struggle
aye.
within 6 weeks. So I mean that was invaluable. Was that when you did the mastermind? Was that did the penny drop then for the L&D platform, or was that later? Okay, later.
No, because the bit I couldn't work out was if people really want advisory or if people really want L&D. But
Yeah,
what I could tell you is they really want a silver bullet for NED stuff, and they want a silver bullet for LE for learning and development. So founders, they want to be told something. They don't really want to be held accountable, and but so they want to have a bit of that on a social bit, and they don't mind some fresh ideas and all the rest. Rarely do they want to be held accountable unless it's something to do with somebody who's going to help them sell their business. But they definitely want somebody to train their staff.
yeah.
So
But
I
Dalton,
look,
I'm gonna pick your brain on that because
yeah,
I think that was a generational problem. Think about when we and Eve, like we obviously you 27, me 29 went into recruitment. It was a boom market, and it was a boom market all over the
yeah,
world for 4 or 5 years.
yeah, yeah.
Do you think that we didn't get as much training as the or our managers got when they were and by the way, they would have been too busy making money as well when they were trying to train us. So
Yeah.
do you think because we didn't get the structured, detailed training, we didn't know how to do it, and B we didn't know what it
No,
required. No,
no, we didn't stay long enough in the corporate world to go through the ladders, so we weren't exposed to it to the same degree as we are now. So you only know what you know, and you didn't have that experience of being on the hook for hiring and firing, and
yeah.
then all the other pieces in between. And that's it. Like that's the key piece. You learn so much from hiring and firing, and it it's yeah.
Hiring and
But
firing and
yeah.
retaining and
And
developing.
also like you're seeing the world through the prism of being lucky to join a world-class recruitment company with
Yeah.
world-class people like on either side, all around you. And at the last days when there was no woke culture, when you were coming in and we were throwing stuff at you and bullying you to how you couldn't make calls properly, and like it was the last days of the Wild West, but it was great as well because
Unbelievable.
if you don't survive in the first 12 weeks, we're gonna chew you up and spit you out. That was what that room was.
And it's a test. It's a test. And to be honest with you, there was loads of time when I was going, I don't need this, but I didn't have any other options. And that's what it came down to, was the
Neither did I.
option.
I needed a visa, but I mean
Uh,
that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. But I think if I fast forward, so we did the mastermind, and what I got out of that was I knew Charlotte had a superpower, and I knew that maybe I'm not somebody who's designed to be on a boardroom meeting with 20 people, but bloody hell, she is. Because she's a details person who can get something done. So then she started working her way through the advisory world. Not necessarily somebody who puts the strategy together. Like that is kind of more my bread and butter. I love that. But her whole thing is on the execution, operations, tech, seeing how everything knits together, workflows, systems, processes. And she's like Mozart with it. Like it's incredible, right? So we were able to put her into bigger businesses. We did that, and then the market picked up, and I thought I'll make some easy rec direct money, and I quietened down the mastermind at this point, and we were moving here, and I had Recware Plus at the back of my mind, and because I wanted to create something that wasn't going to suck all my time as the trainer.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
mind being the man behind the curtain. I don't mind selling. I prefer not to be. I realized I actually don't want to be an advisor to 20 companies and to be on the hook for that. But I'm happy to build something for 1,000 companies.
And listen, having that idea and that vision's all well and good, but getting the people to help you do that and getting the right team together. Now, you're lucky because of your community and your network of people, you could probably handpick some of the best to do that. How difficult was that getting the right people and understanding what type of people you needed?
So I suppose the first thing is I have shared services with Doherty Group, the rec company. And to be honest, we're more of a marketing company than a recruitment company. So I I was able to lean on the staff that we had on there. So first thing is I have a marketing manager in there who's into product design. Brilliant, right? I have a she had an assistant. She had another assistant. So we were too heavy in this world anyway, and we were able to kind of retrain those people into customer success. I have an editor in there. So I have a VA in there. So straight away there's an engine room. There's an engine room ready there. And then there's we're already in business with Andy, so he can act as the advisor on the RecWire Plus. So him and Charlotte can really work that world, and hopefully we get a few other guest advisors that we're working on as well at the moment. So we had largely the structure of a business there, and then there's two key things. So one, there was a trainer needed, and two, there's a developer needed. And it's funny, like I suppose with Dominic, who built the product for us, um, you introduced me to him, and he's a good bit younger than us. I don't know, 5, 6 years. So even when we were starting out 10 years, he was very young, and he was very bright, and he always, anytime I was home, he always kind of tagged along with you and picked my brain, and like, and he struck me even then as, oh, you're quite smart, you're gonna be useful, and he's a doer. If you can find doers in this world, it is the key to everything. You can
I
have all the ideas you want.
Yeah, no matter what you want to do, whether it's in your business, whether it's in another business you're thinking about, doers are hard to get. And I mean, you could interview 30 people and there'd probably be 3 people, 4 people that are doers.
Yeah. So then I had Georgiana, who is in product. I have him, and he has a product team as well of developers. And I have Charlotte, who is insane. Like, so between them, they ran a 12-month beta project with 12 companies, and I let them run a bit wild with it. And I stepped out. And and then I got back in February. So the beta was almost done. We had 150 pieces of feedback. We had like 100 videos ready. We had everything done. That process went together. Dan went from being a performance coach to Charlotte putting a whole L&D like from the foundational stuff that you get at like an S3 or Robert Walters, or like we went real balls deep with making it so we had the traditional stuff and we had the extra added value stuff. And when I came back in, then I had to ruffle a few feathers to sell it.
Yeah, so give us an idea of the vision you had 12 months previously to what then you said, right, we've got all this feedback. This is how we're going to craft it. And then how did you sell that to Dominic, Charlotte, and Andy?
Not easy, not easy. So I let them get to a point where they were almost at a stalemate with the product.
Okay.
And when I came in, I sat them down and I said, Shar, do me a favor, jump in and take the Rec Rack business. You've taken this as far as you can right now. I'm going to call on you when I need you to build the next piece of this. And that was key.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, that wasn't an easy process. So that happened, and there was some fireworks. But that is husband and wife business. You know what it's like. You get through it, right? And it is what it is. Dominic just wanted to sell the thing, and nobody's selling, right? So he's like, "Are you going to fill this gap?" And I'm like, "I am filling this gap. You all just need to do what I say from here." Um, and he was in the back seat anyway, no problem. And uh, Dan has no time. Dan is like the most popular trainer in the UK. You look at his diary, it is boom, 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 boom. So Dan trusts me a lot. I helped him launch his business. And then when we went through all of this at every stage, he's the one who's had to take it on the chin. Dan, this isn't good enough. This isn't right. You have to change this. You have to do this. And that's tough. He's the only one who's had to mind their like to really like take it in the neck on that stuff. And I did, and I improved and all the rest. But we didn't know anything until we get into the sales beta.
So
And that's where it's at.
yeah, so that's where it's at now, right? So tell us now, if you can summarize briefly, what product have we now? What is RecWired, and what can we expect? What can we expect of a customer the size of me, 78 people, looking to hire to 50 people in the next couple of years? What's it useful for, and what platform? What is the unique selling points of the platform?
Oh, summarize that quickly. Um, so look, it's a one-stop shop. First off, to get your staff trained. First thing. So on the juniors, we'll take them through a 12-week course. On the seniors, there's advanced training, and that's for a whole year. And the juniors can advance to the seniors. There's 2 live sessions a week. There's lots and lots of topics covered on the platform already. Right now, so Shar's flying off on her jollies to Ibiza, and then she's going on to Serbia. She'll be in a studio recording the next 70 videos. That's going to be specific for contract recruitment. And then in October, she goes over again. She'll do another 70. And in that, we're going to cover retained search, leadership, etc. So the aim is to be so far ahead from a content perspective that we can't be caught. And, like in order to get to that point, like we just research, we take apart what world class looks like. She then creates the videos. It then goes through the product development cycle. It's on the system. The system has data, testing, customer success, and it's all there. And then there's a whole other section on there for founders. So if founders want to learn how to internationalize or scale, this, that, whatever you really need to grow your business from that point of setting up to scaling to getting an event, it's all there.
There's loads of questions I've got about this still, Dan, but we're
Is
gonna
that,
have
is
to do
that
it
for
another
part
time.
two?
Hey?
Is that for part two?
That's for part two, because I mean, that's a great overview, but there's three or four things in there that I want to kind of just basically pick on, get you to explain them, because not everyone will have
Yeah.
their own L&D platform. They may have an L&D platform.
Oh,
They may have content.
it's gonna take a bit more time, and I'm gonna have to jump back into that product development piece of reviewing the competition and what they do, what they don't do. And if anybody is listening to this, August is the best time to benchmark your competition. And I can go through a bit of a process in how you do that and how you can look to outside industries in order to steal ideas to make things better.
There you are, folks. Get you on LinkedIn.
Always, always. Only if you're up for some offensive content from time to
We'll keep at the part two too.
time. All right, till next time.
Good lad.